So we can begin with page 141. Who wants to go?
I can read. Vasistha continued. O Ram, he who knows that all the activities merely happen because of the mere existence of consciousness, even as a crystal reflects the objects around it without intending to do so, is liberated. They who, even after taking this human birth, are not interested in such non-volitional activity, go from heaven to hell and from hell to heaven. Some there are who are devoted to inaction, having turned away from or suppressed all action. They go from hell to hell, from sorrow to sorrow, from fear to fear. Some are bound by their tendencies and intentions to the fruits of their own actions, and they take birth as worms and vermin, then as trees and plants, then as worms and vermin again. Others they are who know the self. Blessed indeed are they, for they have carefully acquired into the nature of the mind and overcome all cravings. They go to higher planes of consciousness.
Okay, let me stop you here. So he is again reiterating his point. Yeah, he says, O Rama, he who knows that all the activities merely happen because of the mere existence of consciousness, even as a crystal reflects the objects around it without intending to do so, is liberated. Yeah? So that person is liberated who understands that everything that is happening is all happening by the consciousness, to the consciousness, for the consciousness. Yeah? Who understands this and does not get involved. Yeah? That is a wise person. He can be liberated. But somebody who cannot understand this. Yeah? So, one who, even though he has taken the human form, is not interested in such non-volitional activity. You understand volition? What is volition? To will. Yeah? So when you will, you do something. Yeah? Non-volition is not, where there is no will basically. Yeah? It is not voluntary. Are you understanding this? This is very intricately woven with doership. Yeah? You are not the doer. Till the time you think you are doing, till the time you are stuck in I, yeah, you cannot be liberated. The moment you drop the I and recognize that it is all the consciousness, yeah, there is just the consciousness and nothing else outside the consciousness. The moment this recognition comes, yeah, only then can you be liberated. So you understand non-volitional? Those that do not have this recognition. Clear? Of non-doership. So you can translate non-volitional as non-doership also. Yeah? So those who even after taking this human birth are not interested in such non-doership activity, if you want. They go from heaven to hell and hell to heaven. Yeah, basically, they are stuck in the cycle of life and death. Yeah, it's more appropriate to say birth and death. They get stuck in this cycle and they cannot get out of this cycle. That's what he's saying in the first paragraph. So very clearly he's telling Rama, drop the doership. I. That is what will keep you trapped in this cycle. And why does he emphasize on even in this human birth?
Not to create more karmas, not to create. So
And plus to also emphasize that only in human birth is it possible for me to wipe away my previous sanchita. If suppose before this human birth I was even in the highest order of the animal life, I could have not done anything about my sanchita. Are you getting it? So it is your first opportunity in a human birth to able to wipe away sanchita and prevent yourself from throwing out agami seeds. Yeah. This I did not have as an animal. I have it as a human. So human birth is so precious. And even as a human, you are not taking this opportunity. Yeah. So Vasistha is saying such a birth is condemnable. Yeah. Is something that can be looked down upon. Do you get what he's saying? Some there are who are devoted to inaction, having turned away from or suppressed all action. Yeah, so some people misunderstand this knowledge and they say, okay, I will not act in this situation. I am not the doer, no? I will not do anything. Yes, but that is called suppression of action. Internally there is that want, the raga or dvesha is there. So this is called suppression of action. This is something very important for you also to look into. When you think you are dropping the seeking, yeah, I gave you homework last week, check, is your mind seeking something? Yeah. So the moment you were dropping the seeking, is it because of that feverishness for enlightenment? Yeah, or dvesha for the worldly things? Are you seeing this? Again I have created a raga and dvesha. I am again caught up. So even if I have let go of that seeking, whatever seeking my mind was lost into, I am actually resorting to inaction. See, this is very subtle, huh? Yeah, if I am suppressing something, yeah, but internally I want to do it, I am resorting to inaction. You are in the same boat. Are you getting it? The action is not external through the hands. It is here. Yeah? With maturity, the way you let go of toys and trucks and dolls, with that maturity, if you can let go of people, situations and things. Seeking is only for these three factors. There is no fourth factor. If with this understanding of this knowledge, that maturity comes and that seeking for that person or that situation or thing drops off. Got it? Then that is actually the real Purushartha. Yeah? Vasistha kept talking about Purushartha, no? Yeah? So very subtle this is, your mind can fool you. That is why he keeps emphasizing this, that some there are who are devoted to inaction, having turned away from action. Do not turn away from action, or they have suppressed all action. Do not even suppress an action. Oh, last week this homework was there. I should not seek. Okay, I am not going to seek. I am not going to have this ice cream. But then I have the thought inside, ice cream. In the night I am sleeping, I am dreaming about that ice cream. Might as well have it and finish it off. Are you seeing this? Probably after having that ice cream, the seeking will drop. Yeah? So don't resort to suppression. Yeah? Very clearly Vasistha is telling you this. Very clearly. It's a big danger. Yeah? Now, the punishment for people who suppress, yeah, or they just turn away from action, the punishment for these two categories of people is even worse. They go from hell to hell and from sorrow to sorrow, from fear to fear. Yeah? You remember, no? In Ashtavakra, somewhere in 23 or 24, Guruji says that there are many people who suppress, who say, oh, anyway, everything is nothing. Yeah? And then they go and they become pandits and they are they create Maya out of the wisdom, out of the Gyan and make it Agyan. You know what I'm saying? The people with the matted hair will not clean their hair and say, oh, I am not the body. Or people who will walk on coals and fire and say, I am not the body. Yes, these people have taken it to another extreme. Yeah? It's worse. It's a worse situation for that person than somebody who's lost in this Maya and does not even understand that he's lost in the Maya. Yeah? At least the person who is innocently lost in the Maya will just go through birth and death and birth and death. But somebody who has taken this in a very wrong way and has made his own concepts of this knowledge, yeah, he goes through a worse situation. Yeah, he creates more stronger impressions. Yeah, because now he has a new raga, no? Knowledge, wisdom. This creates a much stronger impression. Yeah. So it is also given in the scriptures that we did Upanishads, right? Most of us. Yeah. So in that also it was given that you will face difficulty if you don't come into jnana, into this knowledge. But you will face even more difficulty if you go to the other side and you're not totally lost in the jnana. So both is required, the knowledge of Gyan and the knowledge and Agyan of this Maya, this ignorance. This is also required and this knowledge is required, and they both work hand in hand. Then only will it be a successful way to move. Are you getting it? Yeah, Vasistha keeps getting very deep now. Every word becomes more and more potent with knowledge. Yeah, so here he has repeated the same thing from Upanishads. You need Gyan and you need Agyan, both. Yeah. Now the next line. Some are bound by their tendencies and intentions to the fruits of their own actions. Yeah, if you're lost in karma phalam, I want this, I want this, I want this. Yeah, I am not focusing on my present action, but the fruit of action that I want. My vision is completely on that future. I am not here and now. What happens to such people? They take birth as worms and vermin. Yeah. Then as trees and plants, then again as worms and vermin. Others there are who know the self. Yeah. So he's done with all the people who are tamasic. These are the totally tamasic people. Yeah. So at least the people who are in knowledge and start suppressing their actions, at least he considers them a little rajasic. But the worst he considers worms and vermin who are constantly seeking something. I want this, I want this. Karma phalam is wanting, right? Is seeking. He calls them the worst. So you can look at it as the tamasic. Yeah? The worms and vermin. So now he's done with his rajasic and tamasic type of people. Now he comes to the sattvic. Others there are who know the self. Blessed indeed are they, for they have carefully inquired into the nature of the mind and overcome all cravings. They go to higher planes of consciousness. Yeah. So, you remember in Upanishad Guruji said, that even if you've taken one step into the knowledge, it is like an insurance for you. Yes, you will not go into darkness. Yeah, you are into sattva, you have moved towards the knowledge of the self. You are making a very sincere attempt to understand this, yeah, to work on yourself. So you have moved towards sattva. Yeah. So he is saying they are blessed. And why they are blessed? Because they have carefully inquired into the nature of the mind. That's what we've been doing for 2 years now, reading so much knowledge, inquiring into how my mind works, why my emotions come up like this, what can I do about a certain situation. This is inquiry into the nature of the mind and overcome all cravings. So I know we are all doing this first step of inquiry into the mind, but have you been doing the second step, letting go of the cravings? Yeah? This is a contemplation homework for today. Yeah? Homework number 1. Do you let go of the cravings? Or are you still craving, still lost in the craving, and you let the mind crave? Do you give it a complete freedom to keep running behind things and people and situations still? That's the homework. Keep contemplating on this. Yeah. Such sattvic people who do both the steps. Step 1 is inquiry into the mind, and step 2, letting go of this craving or seeking. Drop. It's okay if I don't get it. It's okay if I don't get it. This is letting go. Yeah? If you do both the steps, then they go to the higher planes of consciousness. Yeah? So both the steps are a requirement. Yeah? So highlight this particular line. Yeah? Both the steps are an important requirement. You cannot say I do one and that's enough. No. Yeah? So those who are doing one, start working on the second aspect. Yeah? I think 99.9% of us are definitely doing one. Yeah? Inquiring into the nature of the mind. One more step further. I start dropping all cravings, letting go. Drop the feverishness, drop the seeking. Yeah? And overcome them. Clear? First 2 paragraphs clear of 141? Okay. You can continue.
He who has taken birth for the last time now is endowed with a mixture of light, sattva, and a little impurity, rajas. Right from birth, he grows in holiness. The nobler type of knowledge enters into him with youth. All the noble qualities like friendliness, compassion, wisdom, goodness, and magnanimity seek him and take him aboard in him. And take their abode in him. He performs all appropriate actions, but is not swayed if their results appear to gain or loss, nor does he feel elated or depressed. His heart is clear. He is much sought after by the people.
Okay. So this is very important, He who has taken birth for the last time. Many people ask me, I have been really meditating for so many years. Yeah, so many years. I've done Ashtavakra so many times. How will I know whether I will get liberated or not? Yeah, there, Vasistha is telling you what are the signs of somebody who is going through their last birth. There it is. Yeah, he is endowed with a mixture of light, which is sattva, and a little impurity, that is rajas. Yeah, so the rajas is very little. He is more sattvic as a person. Yeah, but see, he did not talk about tamas here. Yeah, tamas does not exist so much in a person like him. Yes, there will be basic tamas that is required for that body to sleep in the night for 5-6 hours, whatever. That body needs rest. Yeah, but it's almost negligible. The person does not exhibit any tamasic tendency. Do you get this? Yeah? He's predominantly sattvic. Yeah? Naturally attracted to sattvic foods, sattvic activities, is always his entire focus in life is towards good and helping people, noble thoughts. Yeah? And somehow automatically his life is also sattvic. People around him are sattvic. He has a happier life. Yeah? So you can make out from this how is the person who is in his last birth. Right from birth, he grows in holiness. Yeah? So such a person will be in spirituality from a very, very young age. The nobler type of knowledge enters into him with ease. Yeah? He doesn't take a very long time to understand some knowledge and to apply it in life. Yeah? So if application of knowledge has started happening very easily to you, you know where you are. Yeah? It doesn't take a long time. All the noble qualities like friendliness, compassion, wisdom, goodness and magnanimity. Magnanimity is generosity. Yeah? He's always ready to help others, yeah, and give others whatever they need. That's magnanimity. They seek him and take their abode in him. Yeah? He has all these wonderful qualities. He performs all appropriate actions. Yes, appropriate, understand. Like eating, sleeping, regular. He has a regular life like us. He might also be going to work. He might have a family, a husband, a wife, a child. Yes, everything is there in his life. Yeah, but he as a person is noble. He's not swayed if their results appear to be gain or loss. So, like I told you before, there is some bhava. Yeah? The curve does not go up and down. He's not super excited when he receives something, and he's not super depressed if he loses something. Yeah? Nor does he feel elated or depressed. His heart is clear. He is much sought after by the people. All these qualities are Gurudev's, no? Yeah? And there are so many other senior teachers, yeah? So many Swamis in Art of Living, you will see they are like this. Yeah? Initially they used to say, oh, Rishiji, Swamiji, all these people are already there. Yeah? So these are the signs. Yeah? This will definitely be an exam question for you, okay? I'm already giving you the hint. Did you come?
Such a one who is full of all the noble qualities, seeks and follows an enlightened master, who directs him along the path of self-knowledge. He then realizes the self which is one cosmic. Such a liberated one awakens the inner intelligence, which has been asleep so far, and this awakened intelligence instantly knows itself to be the infinite consciousness. Becoming constantly aware of the inner light, such a blessed one instantly ascends into utterly pure state.
Yeah.
Such is the normal cause of evolution, O Rama. However, there are exceptions to this rule.
Wait, before you go ahead, let me complete that paragraph. Yeah, so he is full of noble qualities and he follows a master. Yes, definitely. When he's on the path of self-knowledge, he realizes the self, which is the one cosmic being. That is, we are all consciousness. Not in words, not intellectually understanding this, but really as an experience from within, a swabhava jnana. Yeah, which can happen only in deep meditation. Such a liberated one awakens the inner intelligence which has been asleep so far. What is he talking about? which inner intelligence is asleep? Okay. You remember, right at the beginning of creation, the Brahman divided into Purusha and Prakriti. Yeah, the Prakriti's effect or the Maya was so strong. Yeah, it gripped even the Purusha, and Purusha lost his existence in that Prakriti and identified itself with the Prakriti. This identification of the Purusha with the Prakriti is equal to Purusha going to sleep, forgetting its own self. Do you understand? Yeah. So Purusha lost his identity and became one with the Prakriti. Just like you started thinking you are this body. Yeah. You started identifying with the name that was given to this body. Yeah. Only after coming into the knowledge did you learn to actually separate yourself from the body and actually observe the body. Before your first Panchakosha meditation, you had not even experienced this difference or this separation between I being different and the body being different. Yes? So, understand this. The inner intelligence is the Purusha, which is asleep because it is lost in the Prakriti, because of its identification with the Prakriti. Yeah? And now, because of being so noble and on the right path and with the enlightened master, this Purusha awakens. So the inner intelligence is awakened. Got it? Such a liberated one awakens the inner intelligence which has been asleep so far, and this awakened intelligence instantly knows itself to be the infinite consciousness. Becoming constantly aware of the inner light, such a blessed one instantly ascends into the utterly pure state. Utterly pure state means what?
The state of liberation.
Yeah, where I completely understand I am the Purusha. Yes, I don't have even 1% doubt that I am this body. Yeah, I am ready to let go of this body very happily, 100%. Ready to embrace death of the body. That is called an utterly pure state. Yeah, that is the pure state of the Purusha. There is a story in many such spiritual stories are there. So there's one Mullah Nasruddin story, yeah, in which Mullah was traveling by sea. He was going somewhere, a long journey, and the ship was caught in a turbulent ocean current. Yeah, the storms were suddenly very, very high, and the ocean currents were very high, and the ship started sinking, water started coming in, people started screaming and shouting in panic, started running here and there, and Mullah Nasruddin is just standing and watching everything. So somebody comes and asks Mullah, aren't you afraid? You might die. Yeah. So this is actually supposed to be in Hindi. So Mullah says, अपने बाप का क्या जाता है? Yeah. What have I got to lose? Basically, this body is not me. I am not this body. Even if this body goes away, I cannot be destroyed. Yeah. It's a sweet story made on Mullah. Yeah. But it signifies this, where you are in that pure state, yeah, where the attachment to this body has dropped off. Yeah, in one of the Ashtavakras, Guruji says, before death drops you, you come first. Yeah? You drop this body. You remember this? Yeah? That's exactly what is the meaning of being in the 100% pure state, where attachment to this body is completely gone. You're not again suppressing it. This is very important to understand. It's not a suppression or making your mind believe something. It is a natural maturity which will happen on this path. You can continue now.
Such is the normal course of evolution, O Rama. However, there are exceptions to this rule. In the case of those who have taken birth in this world, two possibilities exist for the attainment of liberation. The first is treading the path indicated by the Master, the seeker gradually reaches the goal of liberation. The second is self-knowledge literally drops into one's lap, as it were, and there is instant enlightenment. I shall narrate to you an ancient legend which illustrates the second type of enlightenment. Please listen.
Yeah, so it is instant enlightenment is the other way. Yeah, you remember I had long ago spoken about this. Some people, just by listening to the words of a master or listening to the discourse about enlightenment, immediately instant enlightenment happens. They are called Shravakas. Remember? Yeah, just by listening, it happens to some people. Yeah, there is a very cute story from the Bhagavatam in which there was this gopi, and she was. It was around dusk or just after dusk. The full moon was up in the sky, yeah, and she had filled her water pot and was walking back to the village. And she was carrying the water pot, you know how they carry it on their waist. So she was carrying the water pot on her waist like that, and she could see the reflection of the full moon in the pot, yeah, and it looked very pretty, and she kept looking at it, and she kept looking at it. She got so into a meditative state, literally, and she got totally into a raga of that thing. It looked so beautiful, yes, but because she was focusing on the pot and not on the path on which she was walking, she tripped. And the pot broke and the water fell, and that one moon looked like 1,000 moons now. Yeah, because the water was all on the path. And instantly an inner Swabhava Gyan happened that everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah, they say she got enlightened that moment. There are many such stories, many such short stories. There was one Raja Babu. He was just walking through the streets early in the morning, and it was like really early, 6:30 in the morning. And when he was passing by a house, inside the house, a mother was waking up her son, and the son's name was also Raja Babu. Yeah, so with love, she was telling her son, Raja Babu, ab to utho. Raja Babu, now at least wake up. And he was just coincidentally passing by the street right outside the window, and he heard that. Raja Babu, ab to jago. Now at least wake up. Yeah? And something shook within him, and he woke up. There are such awesome stories in the Upanishads of enlightenment. Yeah? How instant enlightenment has happened to people. Yeah? Not after running after a lot of knowledge or a master or doing yoga or doing seva or anything. Just instant. Yeah? And it's possible. sudden enlightenment. So now he will tell us a story on sudden enlightenment. Who wants to read the next page, the story?
I can read.
Yeah.
Vasistha continued. O Rama, there is a great monarch whose vision is unlimited, who rules over the Videha territory. He is known as Janaka. To those who seek his aid, he is a cornucopia. In his very presence, the heart lotuses of his friends blossom. He is like unto a son for them. He is a great benefactor to all good people. One day, he went to a pleasure garden where he roamed freely. While he was thus roaming, he heard the inspiring words uttered by certain holy, perfected ones. Thus did the perfected sages sing. We contemplate that self which reveals itself as the pure experience of bliss, when the experiencer, comes into contact with the object, the experience, without a division or conceptualization. We contemplate the self in which the objects are reflected non-volitionally, once the divided experience, predicate of subject-object, and the intention of volition that created this division has ceased. We contemplate that light that illumines all that shines, the self that transcends the twin concepts of is and is not, and which therefore is in the middle of the two sides as it were. We contemplate that reality in which everything exists, to which everything belongs, from which everything has emerged, which is the cause of everything and which is everything. We contemplate the self, which is the very basis of all language and expression, being the alpha and the omega, which covers the entire field from a to ha, and which is indicated by the word aham, I. Alas, people run after other objects, foolishly giving up the Lord, who dwells in the cave of one's own heart. He who, having known the worthlessness of the objects, still remains bound at heart to them, is not a human. One should strike down every craving with the rod of wisdom, whether that craving has arisen or is about to rise in the heart. One should enjoy the delight that flows from peace. The man whose mind is well controlled is firmly established in peace. When the heart is thus established in peace, there arises the pure bliss of the self without delay.
Okay. Yeah, so this was a song. Complicated song, no? Yeah, so basically, Janaka, it's a story he's telling him about him only. Yeah? So Janaka is a king and people love him a lot. He is really a magnanimous king. He's a cornucopia. Cornucopia is where he has abundance and is ready to give that abundance to people. He's very generous, basically. Yeah. And in his presence, heart lotuses of his friends blossom. They love him, basically. He's a son for them. He's a great benefactor. And one day he was roaming in the garden when he heard this song of the sages. So we look at the song. We contemplate that self which reveals itself as the pure experience of bliss when seer comes into contact with the object without a division or conceptualization. Yeah? When Purusha and Prakriti, this division that I am seeing till now, yeah? This division is no more there. There is the split in the consciousness comes back and becomes one whole. Yeah, that is the first sentence. Clear? Second sentence. We contemplate the self in which the objects are reflected non-volitionally. You understood non-volitionally? Yeah, where there is non-doership, not I does not exist. I, mine, me does not exist. Once the divided experience of subject, object and the intention or volition that created this division has ceased. Yeah, basically, I and you. This is subject and object. Yes. Now this subject and object has happened because of the thought in my mind, I and you. Yes. After that I have started seeing the I and you really. The object comes after the thought. So that is the intention he is talking about. Thought or intention is the same. Yeah. So we contemplate the self in which the objects are reflected non-volitionally. Means there is no doership. Everything is a happening. Yes, the self does everything. Everything is being done inside the self and it is being done by the self. Got it? Third one. We contemplate that light that illumines all that shines. Yeah? Everything is just that consciousness. The self that transcends the twin concepts of is and is not, and which therefore is in the middle of the two sides as it were. Yeah? So you remember Vasistha earlier in the book said that all this is unreal, and then he says it is also real. Yeah? Remember that? Yes, he said it cannot be said it is completely unreal and it cannot be said that it is completely real. Yeah? Somewhere in the middle. Yeah? You remember also Guruji said in the Upanishads, it's not black and white. Yeah? When you drop that, yeah? And somewhere you learn to change the paradigm. A paradigm shift happens in the way you look at things. Yes, you reach a state of higher mathematics where everything is not just yes and no. It can be yo. Remember? Yeah, that's exactly what Vasistha is saying here. Yeah, is and is not. We are stuck in these, no? So he's saying a paradigm shift is required to go beyond yes and no. And the self is that which can go beyond this yes and no. Yeah? Fourth, we contemplate that reality in which everything exists, to which everything belongs, from which everything has emerged, which is the cause of everything and which is everything. Yeah? This is simple, right? The consciousness, the nothingness, the Brahman is all that exists really. From that Brahman, Prakriti and Purusha broke out. So basically they exist also in the Brahman, no? Yeah? So they are all in the Brahman. They have broken out of the Brahman. They will also go back into that Brahman. So there is no difference between Brahman and these other Prakriti and Purusha that we see. Yes. We contemplate the self, which is the very basis of all language and expression, being the Alpha and the Omega, which covers the entire field from A to H. You know what is this, no? How many of you know the Indian script? A, E, U, A, I. These are the vowels. Yeah? And then the consonants begin. K, K, G, G. ch, ch, j, jh, you know, no? T, th, d, d, no? Yeah? It ends with y, r, l, v, sh, s, sh, h. So, h is the last consonant. Yeah? So, this in English will be a and this is h. Yeah? So, our alphabet begins with a, ends with h. Yeah? Those who don't know the Indian language. The alphabet, the Devanagari alphabet or the Indian alphabet begins with a and ends with h. Yeah? So, the entire field of all vowels and consonants is between a and h. Yeah? It's not ha, it's h. Yeah? So, a and h. This has the entire range of language. So he says, this also is an indication of the word aham. And what's aham? I. Yeah? The first thought, the first word that led to this creation of Prakriti and Purusha. So beautiful, no? Yeah? Did you ever think that first I, that aham, could have this kind of a meaning? Yeah, related to all the alphabets in the language are within this. Yeah, all the vowels and the consonants. Yeah. Next, alas, people run after other objects, foolishly giving up the Lord who dwells in the cave of one's own heart. He who, having known the worthlessness of the objects, still remains bound at heart to them, is not a human being. Yeah? Enough number of times now Vasistha has been telling you that stop running after objects. Enough. Yeah? Even a beautiful woman or a handsome guy is an object. Yeah? Even a situation where you want name and fame or recognition or a pat on your back, that is also an object, a sense object. Yeah, it's not just your phone and TV and jewelry and whatever you run after, car and money. Yeah? Those we understand as objects, but we forget that even people are just objects. Yeah? We forget that even a situation that I am craving for or running away from, yeah, I don't want this situation in my life, that is also an object. Yeah? So understand this very clearly. Shun all these cravings and aversions. Yeah? Otherwise, he says, you are not a human being. Yeah? Stop being bound to these things. Yeah? Vasistha likes to pick up the stick intermittently. Yeah? One should strike down every craving with the rod of wisdom. Every craving that arises in the heart for one person, for a situation or for a thing. Yeah? Just take the rod of wisdom and cut it down. It's okay. I am not going to die if I do not get this. Yes? Or if it's a situation you want to avoid, I am not going to die if I have to go through the situation. It's okay. Yeah? Drop this feverishness of the mind of wanting and not wanting. Yeah? Of seeking something or rejecting something. Both is craving. Seeking or rejecting, both is craving. Huh? So he says, with the rod of wisdom, cut it off. One should enjoy the delight that flows from peace. The man whose mind is well controlled is firmly established in peace. When the heart is thus established in peace, there arises the pure bliss of the self without delay. Yeah, so when can you be peaceful? Only if you have a control over these 5 senses that go out into the world and get stuck. If I am stuck in some person or situation or thing, I am not going to be peaceful. If I want this peace, I have to drop this. This going out has to be turned inwards. This is called control. Yes? And only when you have that peace can you experience the bliss of the self or the Purusha without delay. This was the song. So it's already 9 o'clock. I'll let you read this story as homework. You can read the next 2 pages, 143 and 144. It is pretty simple. More just, reiterating the same points again. So you can read the story and see how there can be instant enlightenment. Read 2 pages, pages 143 and 144.
Okay, sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
This alphabet behind you, so this is the Hindi alphabet though, right?
Yeah.
The Sanskrit alphabet is the same? Or
It's the same. Yes, it's the same. So Sanskrit was a language which is so ancient that it did not have a script. It was transmitted from the master to the disciple by rote. Yeah, they did not have a script in those ages yet. Pen and paper was not discovered. Yeah, so script was not discovered. It was transmitted by rote from generation to generation. Yes, so that is why there is no discrepancy. Till today we have kept it intact. Yeah, if you learn a song, you learn a song. It's like that. Yeah, so they had learnt it like poetry. And it went from generation to generation to generation till it came to such a level where actually the script was invented. Yes, and most of the Indian languages follow the Devanagari script. So Hindi, Marathi, and the basic languages in India all have the same script. Yeah, Sanskrit also has the same script.
Okay, I was just making sure that Swami Venkatesananda was not cheating time. This is relevant. Okay, and then, so then I probably said this on day 1, but this bold is this.
Yeah.
But then where does the rest of it come from? Is this just extrapolation?
No dear. See, if you look, now see page 142, the one that is in bold in Sanskrit is the 18th verse. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah, but look at the number on the top, 8. Can you see the number on the top?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it is actually 8th section of the 5th chapter. Can you see the number 5 on the left side on the top? So 5th chapter, 8th section, 18th shloka. Got it? Next page is directly 5th chapter, 9th section, 16th shloka. So where did the rest of the shlokas go? He's not giving us all the shlokas. They are already translated in English in this rest of the page before he goes here. Got it? Yeah? This is a concise Yoga Vasistha. We discussed this right on the day 1, I think. After you complete this, we can go to the bigger one. Again, I don't have it here. It's pretty thick. It's like 3 times the size of this. Yeah, easily.
Personally, the biggest craving is with food. But what I've been remembering recently is that, when you taste something and you're not really paying attention to it, it's more exciting. Whereas if you are really chewing your food, it actually is just as delicious as something with, advertised flavor, right? It's just that the advertised flavor catches your attention without you giving it your full attention, right? So that's why it may seem more enjoyable, but something more sattvic in nature is just as delicious. I mean, the incremental joy is actually imaginary. So that also helps anyone else. If anyone wants to get ice cream later.
Great realization, Mohit. I'm sure others have had this realization. No? Yeah, very beautiful. Anybody else has any questions or anything else to discuss? No? All good? Okay, so I'll see you next Wednesday for the next Yoga Vasistha session. Read the next 2 pages. It's an interesting story and difficult to put it down now. Yeah, especially because you've heard about instant enlightenment. Oh, we are in the age of instant noodles and instant fast food. Let's see what is instant enlightenment now. Yeah, so go ahead and read the next 2 pages. If you have questions, please feel free to send me your email with questions. Okay? Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.